So do you get more bang for your buck buying premium reels or premium rods? I think there's a clear-cut winner, and the winner might surprise you. So back when I used to guide a lot, one topic of conversation that came up a lot was gear. And what gear do you like? You know, what should I buy, this rod, this reel? What's the best one for cranking or flipping or whatever? And let's get past a couple of the basic things. For starters, like the premium reels and the premium rods, the really high-end stuff, basically you pay what you pay is what you get to a certain degree. Don't borrow a friend's $400 or $500 reel or rod, because I promise you, like most all of them out there, you pick them up, if you're not used to one like that, it's gonna be like, ooh, that's pretty light, that's pretty sensitive, that's pretty smooth. There is something about them. So yeah, they are premium. The other truth though, I think whether it's a rod or a reel, I think the drop off, you get the law of diminishing returns. Once you get much past about $300, you know, going from 50 and 100 up to 200 up to 300, you get some big jumps there. When you start getting past 300, yeah, they get a little bit lighter, a little more sensitive, or maybe a little more refined. But sometimes there's trade-offs because they're so light and sensitive and lightweight materials. You know, sometimes they're not as hardy. So really, I think once we get over $300 on either one, unless you have, I mean, if you have plenty of money to spend on it, you get a gift card or something like that, I'm not hating on you if you do it, but I think you're better off sticking, you know, maxing out on either one at about around that $300 range. But let's dive into the main question. So let's start off talking about rods. Premium rods, what do you get when you pay more? Basically, the graphite, the material is actually a more premium. They measure it in ton. It's just how sensitive, how lightweight it is. And you start talking 36 and 40 ton resin. It's going to be more lightweight. It's going to be more responsive, a quicker tip. It's just, you know, a lighter weight rod that's going to be as strong. It's going to be easier to fish all day, and it's going to be a little bit more sensitive. Now, the thing about rods, though, is the technology on rods has really improved. From 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I'm amazed how the top end of the market, ones that I have in my garage, these premium rods, 10, 15 years old, and especially the 20, 25-year-old ones, those were the high-end, the $300 rods back then, some of $400. You pick them up, and an entry-level rod like this Fenwick Eagle, I mean, these feel as good or better than what the premium rods used to. Graphite in general, the material that they make it from, the ergonomics, just everything, the balance, the technology of using computer-aided design and stuff. Rods have gotten more lightweight, more sensitive. Just, I think in general, rods have gotten a whole lot better. So to me, with rods, you know, you go from talking about Fenwick here, an Eagle is like $100. You go to HMG, which is like 150, and Elite's like the 230 range, and then World Class is like 400. I love all these, and don't get me wrong, I have a lot of the $400 World Class. When I'm throwing a jig, when I'm fishing a swim jig or something, my rod tips up all day. I want something, not even sensitivity as much, but I want something that's lightweight. It's going to be easier on arm fatigue. If I'm popping that rod all day, it's just something tip heavy. It's just going to be harder on your arms and stuff. But in terms of sensitivity, you know, I feel fine. There's plenty of times I'll worm and jig with like an Eagle, entry-level one, and it does plenty fine. So to me, the rods, you know, upgrading there, you do get some benefit, but compared to what I used a few years ago, I think they're all really good, and I'm impressed with that entry-level stuff, how good that is today. You know, and the other thing with rods with sensitivity and just being able to set the hook and stuff, we've gone to braids now and fluorocarbon. The feel is so much better. Before we used to use mono, so you needed a really high-end rod. Mono is so spongy. To drive the hook home, you need these really stiff rods and to get any feel. Well, now with these more super lines, the braid and the fluorocarbon, a lot of times you don't even need that super stiff high-end rod. You want something with a little bit softer tip so you're not breaking off the line, so you're keeping the fish hooked up. And I can feel, because that line's so much more sensitive, that's kind of taken the need for the maximum sensitivity down a little bit. So let's talk about reels now. You know, the Abu Garcia Revos, and this applies to most reels, I use a lot of the mid-range. This is an STX. It runs about $200. It's I can use an 8-to-1, a really high-speed gear ratio, and to me, it's lightweight, it's ergonomic, it's really smooth and refined. When I'm using a lower gear ratio, that's when I'll go down to an X or an SX, like a 5 or a 6-to-1. you don't need that refinement as much. You can go to lower end gears and stuff. You don't need quite the high end tolerances. It's going to weigh a little bit more, but if I have rod tip down and I'm winding, say, a bladed jig like the slobber knocker or a spinnerbait, I'm not too worried about the weight. I'm reeling it slower, so I don't need a super refined reel. You can save some money there. The flip side, though, is when you want something with a really high speed gear ratio or something that's lightweight, I think the advancements, what you get, your bang for your buck in reels is a lot better. This happens to be a Xenon from Abbott Garcia. It is so lightweight. It also has a super low inertia spool. Big words. Basically what that means, when I take a really light bait, if I'm throwing an 1/8 ounce buzz bait, a tiny weightless Texas rig, or throwing out like a fluke or a jerk shaft, no weight on it, I want to throw it into the wind, the spool will start up more easily. So in those lightweight baits that used to backlash or big old reels, we can throw them now. It's lighter. When it's something rod tip up all day, when I'm popping this swim jig, it's not going to fatigue me. That is the weight difference I feel in a lightweight reel versus a lightweight rod. I'll tell you what, that reel makes a huge difference. And then the other thing that really where you feel a difference in reels is high speed gears. The quality of the gears on a clunky one, like I said, with the spinnerbait or something with the less refined ones on a low ratio, not a big deal. This is a Revo Rocket. This is 10-to-1. Reels used to try to go to 7, 8-to-1 in years past. They couldn't even do it. You were trying to reel a spinnerbait, it would bind up. You couldn't even turn them. The gears would just literally lock up. It was like trying to winch your boat on a trailer. This Revo Rocket, the reels, the gears are so refined in this thing that 10-to-1, I can zip that bait back in to pitch it back out. It takes refinement. You get what you pay for the high-end gears, for the weight on it. You can feel the difference, and over the course of a season, you also feel it. You know, there's a lot of reels I always told guide customers in the store. You go to the counter at Bass Pro Shops or Academy, you try them, every reel there feels great. Go throw a big spinnerbait, rip a trap out of the grass, or set the hook on a jig all summer with it, come back, you'll feel the difference. The longevity of high-end reels, those premium ones, and a lot of times, again, you get what you pay for. When you start getting those ones that are 150 up to 300, they just last longer. They're gonna take those hard hook sets, they're gonna take just the wear and tear of constantly engaging that gear, engaging it, flipping it, engaging it, wheeling or reeling in big fish. I think, like I said, you get what you pay for in reels. So long story short, there's no right or wrong answer. If you have enough money to buy high-end stuff, you're gonna love it. If you don't, and you need to save money, and you get a lot of the more beginner or entry-level stuff, you'll be impressed because new fishing gear is so much improved. Technology has really come to fishing, and it's a lot better. But if you have to decide whether you're gonna invest in a rod or a reel, I think if you put your money in a reel, you're gonna like what you get, and you can still get a moderate rod that you're gonna love the action of and the performance. Hope that helps you catch a few more fish and save a few bucks too.